Hey folks, welcome to the Dog's World, or even as a tribute if you like, What the Fuck Doggy, as a tribute to obviously Kurt Sutter. It's going to be a channel based on various things, generally the world around the motorcycle world, which is something I'm heavily involved in. It's going to be various questions and so forth that I get asked on my Facebook and my Twitter and various other avenues of input and so on. I'll obviously do a few reviews, films and just general crap like that to me pass the time on my night shifts. First question that I've had in, obviously being the bike world, what bike do I ride? Easily enough, I'm on a Harley 1200 XL. Was a 883, but for a guy my size, bit of a pussy ride really. So it's all been upgraded to the 1200. Guess that's that one answered. First question out of the way. Second question, it's going to be quite a rant, actually, I suppose, this one. What's the whole situation with Harley riders and other riders that there's generally quite a rivalry that goes on. It seems Harley riders tend to get a bit of a rough end of the stick. Oftentimes through generally their own attitudes towards other riders, superiority complexes and so forth, but then there's always the often hilarity when Harleys, which don't have the most reputable of reputations for reliability, tend to break down, and the fun then ensues with everyone else. To me, it's not something that's really that relevant. I mean, I've been on the Harley ever since I got my full license, my A license, and it's the only bike that I'd want to ride. To me, that there isn't really any other brand of bike that would be suitable for me. I've got friends that are on all sorts of bikes, VN 900 Customs, nice bikes, might considered for a while. VN 1500 Mean Streaks, two 2-litre Vulcans. I mean, I've got friends on Kawasaki E6s, but to me, there's going to be the Harley, and that's pretty much it for me. I mean, I'm not really going to want to ride anything else. I've got the bike that I wanted. I've put a lot of money into it, and hopefully that will see me through. Obviously, touching wood, that there's not going to be an Audi or a BMW driver out there who's going to take exception to motorcyclists like a lot of them do. Looking at my surroundings, you have to forgive the surroundings. It's just gone 3:15 in the morning, and I'm stuck in work on a 12-hour night shift, as has been discussed at some length on the Northwest UK Biker page. So yeah, I mean, the whole stigma with Harley Davidsons and other riders, it's not something that I've ever really cared to contribute to. I get a little bit of hassle every now and then. I mean, my bike has only just come back out of the shop. It's been in the shop for a fair few months, getting a huge amount of work done to it. But then, you're always going to be doing different mods and upgrades to your bike if you want to. That's something that's part and parcel of the reason why you get the bike you want. If you're fortunate enough to be happy with it as it comes off the shop floor or from whoever you've bought your bike from, good for you. Fantastic. But unfortunately, with my situation, I kind of, in all admitting, I kind of got blinded by the Harley badge. I had money burning a hole in my pocket. Got blinded by the Harley badge, and then subsequently had to pay the price of getting it back to the bike that I actually wanted. So if there's a moral in the whole story, do your research before you go buy your bike, because otherwise you'll end up like me, paying an awful lot of money to get to the bike that you actually want. I think that pretty much covers that point. I've kind of got on a bit of a tangent there. The next question I've had is, what's the deal with all motorbike licenses in the UK? Yeah, I can see where that's coming from. I mean, there's a lot of disgruntlement between motorbike riders and so forth at the minute, and car drivers. Oftentimes you'll have young car drivers from fairly wealthy backgrounds, or that are well-to-do or whatever, and they've passed the car test, which in all theory and practical test and so forth, it's not really all that challenging, and they can then leap into whatever car they want. Oftentimes cars that simply aren't appropriate for people of that skill level and that age. At the age of 17 in the UK, you can leap behind the wheel of a 6.3 Mercedes AMG should you want to, and I mean, obviously if you can pay for the insurance, I mean, which a lot of them don't even bother. There's certain aspects of society in the younger generation that just don't seem to care about that these days, and obviously go out and cause no end of mayhem. But when it comes to the motorbike world, you've got so many different categories. You've got your AM license, which you can have at the age of 16. You've still got to do your CVT, your theory, and two modules. I think there's an off-road module, manoeuvring module, and a mod 2, which is for on the road, which you've got to do even for your moped. Obviously, you go on to your 17 years of age. Once you get past that, you can do your A1, where you can ride 125, and you still got to do the same level of tests. Once you get over the age of 19, I think it is, you can do your A2, which is I think it's 47 horsepower. I think the category is for restrictions. I could be wrong. It's 33 or 47. One of the two. I'm sure someone will correct me, but it doesn't really matter. You've still got to do your theory test and your other two tests and so forth. And then obviously once you pass the age of 24, or you've had your A2 license for 2 years, you can then obviously ride on unrestricted bike, which is what I did. I did my direct access when I was, I'm 32 now. I think I've had my license about 2-3 years. I mean, it kind of came a bit late for me, but it was something I wanted to do, so I did. And yeah, I mean, I would completely agree. It's an absolutely farcical situation. I strongly believe that all car licenses should be forced to at least take a CBT on a motorcycle before they're permitted to take a car test. At least then you may have some kind of consideration or understanding of what it is the motorcycle riders go through and the reactions that we have to have for the behaviour of car drivers. I mean, I'm not saying all car drivers are bad. Obviously, we've got bad motorcyclists, just the same as we do bad car drivers. You know, you can't tire anyone with the same brush. People can have bad days if you're on a car or a bike or either of the two. It's not something you can prejudge anyone for, and I wouldn't ever suggest that you do. But it's strange. I mean, I've found so many of my colleagues in the motorcycle world, not colleagues, friends and acquaintances and so forth, in MCC world, backpatch MC world, just casual riders, people that aren't in clubs, all manner of people from all manner of life that ride. I found that the vast overwhelming majority of them also have car licenses. And again, something that I've discussed with them at great length is that they seem to think that once they've got the car license, having a bike license assists them when they're driving, and I think that's a very good point. You're going to be far more aware of what's going on around you if you've had your motorcycle license and you've taken some time on the road. On a motorcycle, if you're in a car, you're going to check your surroundings more. You're going to be aware of what's going on a lot more. But youngsters and so forth that have the car licenses, it's quite rare for them to have both categories of a license. If it's an A1 if they're a youngster, or an A2, and the car license, whether that's just through financial situation, circumstances, or peer pressure at the time, they just want to be out in their smart little hatchbacks and so forth at a younger age. It's not something that they're aware of at a younger age, and it seems to be as they get a bit older they decide they want to move on to getting a motorcycle, and they're at an age where they can do the direct access now, that they become a lot more aware of what's going on around them on the roads, which is something that's I think the government and the country need to consider the whole circumstance of the licensing system. Having the unrestricted license after the age of 24, I think, is ridiculous. If you're going to get on a bike, an R1 or some sort of Gixxer, called VMAX, full power VMAX, or a high boost or something like that, you can be ridiculous on those at any age. And if you're going to get on those and you're going to get out on the motorway and try and hit 150, 160 miles an hour, and you're going to do that after the age of 24, well, the odds are the age restriction isn't really relevant. It's something that's very, very silly. I think people that are going to ride in a mature sense are going to have that in their heads before the age of 24. I mean, I know a couple of teenagers, 17, 18, they're on their 125s at the moment, perfectly sensible, normal guys. They've been in the MCC world, they're looking to join the clubs and so forth. And obviously 99% of the clubs, family-based clubs, MCC non-backpatch clubs, this is are going to be very wary of anyone that's going to be riding in a foolhardy fashion, because obviously if you're riding in column procession, you've got to be sensible, you've got to be aware of what's going on around you. So really it's something that does need paying attention to. I think it's I think the system at the moment doesn't quite work. It's very confusing, and it's something that needs to have looking at. It doesn't seem like this current government is really interested in that. It seems like they're intent on punishing all motorists, especially motorcyclists. I mean, some of the articles coming out from the police these days, GMP in Manchester, for instance, certain operations they're running where they've been pulling motorcyclists, checking tyre depth and treads and so forth, and letting all manner of cars just fly straight through. Obviously with the summer seasons coming on, it's something that's more and more relevant. But again, it seems that motorcyclists are getting victimised a lot more. And it's something that should be looked at. I mean, I'd love to see an official government body looking at it and coming up with recommendations on what to do, because like I said, the vast overwhelming majority of motorcyclists that I know are responsible, decent people, and those that aren't, you'll see videos on Facebook and YouTube of people doing ridiculous things on the motorway and all manner of behaviours, and then you 99 times out of 100 you'll see them become a cropper, and sadly, I mean, it's a sad circumstance when a fellow motorcyclist comes a cropper and something goes wrong, but then half the time you're looking at that video and saying, well, I'm sorry dude, but you had that coming, your behaviour wasn't acceptable. And I'd hate to see anyone get hurt. I'm sure most folks that are on any kind of page or any kind of group or anything else would say the same. But then if you're going to ride like that, no matter what your age is, it's something that's it's going to have to be accepted and looked at and listened to. I think I've pretty much covered that question. Probably gone off on a bit of a ramble there as well. What's the next question? Working nights. Yes, working nights. Big fun. It seems a couple of the questions that I've had through are from the same situations. There's a guy on here that seems to be driving for a living. Says he drives 500 miles a night and it's killing his social life. Poor dude, I've got to agree with you. I'm doing 6 days straight now, so 12-hour nights, 6 days, and then 1 day off, hopefully. Maybe 2. At a push, but no, again, any questions or anything else you want me to discuss, just post a comment below or jump on my Facebook page. Obviously there'll be a link to that as well. That's pretty much it for episode 1 of A Dog's World.